All right, in today's video, we are going to be using reference table F, which gives us some more specific solubility guidelines. So earlier this unit, we said like dissolves like, meaning that most polar things or ionic things will dissolve in water. But we are going to get more specific here. So most ionic substances do. This gives us actual ionic substances that do or do not dissolve in water. So this just allows a little bit more specific guidelines. So first off, how we read table F. So first off, this side over here, my left-hand side is substances that are soluble. So substances that are soluble, except if they're listed over here. So for example, if it has a group 1 ion, it will always be soluble. There's no exception. So if we have a group 1 ion, always going to be soluble. Same thing with ammonium, nitrate, acetate, hydrogen carbonate, chlorate, and perchlorate. When we get down to the halides, group 17, those will be soluble unless they're combined with silver, lead, or dimercury. And similar for sulfates. The other side of the table are ions that are insoluble unless. So if we have carbonate, it's going to be insoluble unless it's combined with group 1 or ammonium, because those things are always soluble, and so on. So now we just have some examples. So what we have to do is we have to take a look at table F and decide whether or not these ionic compounds would be soluble or insoluble in water. So first one we have is lithium nitrate. So what we do is we have to find a rule about either lithium or nitrate on table F. Lithium is a group 1 ion. Therefore, it will always be soluble, no exceptions. Now, if we also had done nitrate, nitrate is also always soluble, no exceptions. Okay, next up, we have lithium phosphate. So again, we have lithium. Lithium is a group 1 metal. Group 1 ion. Group 1 ions are always soluble, no exceptions. Had we looked it up by the phosphate rule over here, phosphates are insoluble unless they're with group 1. So either rule we looked at, it would have been classified as soluble. Number 3, sodium hydroxide. Sodium is a group 1 ion. Group 1 ions are always soluble, no exceptions. Even if we had looked it up by hydroxides, hydroxides are insoluble unless they're with group 1 or calcium, barium, strontium, or ammonium. So that would have been soluble too. Next up, we have aluminum hydroxide. So we are looking for a rule about either aluminum or hydroxide. We do not have a rule about aluminum, so we have to follow the hydroxide rule. Hydroxides are going to be insoluble unless aluminum is listed over here. So aluminum is not in group 1. It is not listed here, so it does not reverse the rule, so it stays insoluble. So we would expect aluminum hydroxide to not dissolve in water. Next rule is magnesium carbonate, next substance is magnesium carbonate. So we are looking for a rule about either magnesium or carbonate. We do not have a rule about magnesium, so we have to look at carbonate. Carbonates are insoluble unless, so we see if it's listed over here in the exceptions. Magnesium is group 2, so it is not group 1, and it is not ammonium, so it does not reverse the rule, so magnesium carbonate is insoluble. Lastly, we have silver chloride. So we have to look for a rule about either silver or chloride. So if we look at our ions listed, we have the halogens. So group 17 are typically soluble unless it is silver, lead, or dimercury. So that does reverse the rule because it's one of the exceptions. So it's insoluble. So we would not expect it to dissolve in water.